And joining me now with further analysis is Professor Peter Mathews from, of course, Cyprus College. Peter, huge scene there. You just watched that story.
Absolutely. There's no reason why there shouldn't be, because there are tens of thousands of people out there. This has to do with the Supreme Court justice nomination. They're going to push through. The Republicans are trying to push her through. And she has already said that there's no constitutional right to choice on abortion at the federal level. And so she wants the states to decide, which means there are restrictions on that. And not only just abortion, but there are issues like the Affordable Care Act that Amy Coney Barrett will probably vote to allow that to be reduced in the benefits of it. There are many things at stake here on socioeconomic issues and gender equality issues. That's why you have these tens of thousands of people out there today, and it'll continue. And the election's only 2.5 weeks away, so you can understand why this is going to continue.
Dangerous to see so many people together, though, isn't it?
It really is when you think about the COVID pandemic, and yet these folks are all wearing masks, it looks like. They're very cautious about it, and they have to let themselves be known. But you're right, the pandemic, I mean, there were 68,000 new infections on Friday, Tim. It's the largest single infection rate on one day since July. So this thing is going up again. The rates are going up. The spread is going up even in Orange County and in LA County, where I live. And schools have been open. Schools have been open for between 1 month and 2 months already. And I can't imagine that people can't understand that children can carry this back to their parents without even being symptomatic. And so there has to be someone at the top of the helm at the presidency that has some common sense, that bases policies on science and encourages the whole country to do so on science and reason.
Joe Biden is well ahead in the polls. Of course, Hillary Clinton was ahead of Donald Trump in 2016, but he looks like he's won the ratings war. It was a bit different to the debate, but they had competing town halls on different networks.
Yes, indeed. Joe Biden had about 14.1 million viewers, and President Trump had about 13.5, so a slight difference. It was significant, though. At the same time, dueling town halls, even though Joe Biden was supposed to be the only one on the town hall that night, the president jumped in and went ahead and got a contract with NBC to do it. So that was quite interesting to compare the two. And at the point of, if you look at who's ahead in the state level polls, that's the most important. Joe Biden is ahead by between 5 and 7 points in those swing states that Donald Trump won last time. For example, in Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, those states, even Ohio is in play. Florida, he's ahead in Florida by a few percent, which is unheard of because Florida has been going Republican recently, and President Trump won it last time. So states like Arizona, where President Trump won it by a good margin of several points last time, right now it's about 5% in favor of Joe Biden, between 3 and 5%. So those are close numbers, some of them, but they're significant, and it shows that Vice President Biden can actually overcome and win these swing states and win the election.
Was there much of a change or in temperament or temperature in the whole situation regarding who will be the future president after we saw the story of Joe Biden's son this week and how Joe Biden was in some way involved with meeting?
I believe that the American people, from the polling that I've seen, feel that this is an issue that is of Joe Biden's son, not Joe Biden himself. And Joe Biden's son was an adult, a mature adult. He's doing these decisions on his own. While there could be an appearance of impropriety for many Americans to look at it in terms of Joe Biden's son, but the vice president was not involved in it directly in terms of his sponsoring the connections with those business people in the Ukraine or getting involved directly in it. So I think that overall, the American people are, the majority, I should say, are really fed up with what's going on with the administration right now in terms of policy, the COVID pandemic. The economy is tanking as well. And so they're looking at all that. They may give the Bidens a pass on this to some extent, although they're saying this is not Joe Biden's problem. It's not a young son who's below the age of 18. This is a mature adult who do these things, and they're not holding the vice president responsible for it. Most people. There may be a few that would do it, but most are not.
It's interesting to read some of the newspapers and the articles saying that foreign governments, allies, some people are now starting to distance themselves from Donald Trump because they think he'll lose.
That has certainly been a development in recent weeks or even days, and that is true. It's quite interesting because many governments want to be sure that they're on the right side. If there's a chance that either one might win, they're going to hold off a bit in terms of their pronouncements. But now they're starting to make more moves toward with the view that probably Joe Biden's going to win this, as the numbers are showing. and they want to be on the right side there. So that's why you're seeing these developments. And it's quite interesting to watch that, isn't it? It really is. It has an impact on the world politics, on U.S. relationship with other countries in the world, obviously.
So what happens if Joe Biden does win? What happens on the streets of America? There's so many questions to be answered, isn't there? Because it has been a hot time.
Oh, it certainly has, Tim. There's been no other election campaign like this. Temperatures are rising so much on both sides, and we only hope and pray that things can remain stable. There'll be continuity of power change if one on the other side, if Joe Biden wins and there has to be a change in administration, will take place peacefully. There won't be any reactions against it that could destabilize the country. God forbid, we wouldn't want that at all. And we're all, the overmajority of Americans support a peaceful transfer of power. But it is still, nothing is certain right now because, President Trump can actually win this as well. He was behind back in 2016, and yet he got enough electoral votes. So that's the conundrum of the Electoral College, Tim. It is not a democratic device of allowing the voters to choose their president. Instead, they're allowing a few people at the top who are appointed by the state parties to do this. And the Electoral College determines everything. So we don't really know. It is possible mathematically that President Trump can still win this by winning some of those close states in the battlegrounds like he did last time. So it's in the air, but it looks that Joe Biden is the one who's more than likely going to win. And we want everyone's temperature to stay normal, please, and don't get so upset that people do things that would be untoward toward a constitutional government.
Yeah, you really hope so, don't you? Just finally, and with President Donald Trump, it was only 2 weeks ago, it's hard to believe that was Saturday 2 weeks ago here, Sydney time or Australian time, that we saw President Trump taken to the hospital with COVID-19. Some thought that rhetoric would change and head his popularity up. It doesn't seem to have moved the dial much.
No, it doesn't, and it has to do with his reaction to his illness. He seems to have just glossed it over, and in fact utilized it to say, look, I'm strong, we can overcome this. He told the American people, don't be afraid of COVID. Now, if that's ever an understatement or a misstatement, I don't know what could be. You've got to be afraid of COVID. You've got to take precautions and wear massive mask wearing, and contact tracing has to be done. And he wasn't talking about those things. He wasn't saying, I'm chastened, I'm chastised, I've gone through this. God forbid anyone else should go through it. I'm very sorry for those who have gone through it. I will not do this again. I'm urging all of you to wear masks every time you go outside the house. He could have done those things to take the right leadership, but he didn't do it. He doubled down, and I think he was appealing to his base. Unfortunately for him, that base is just not large enough to put him in the White House in general. So we'll see what happens with this.
And tragically, every second or third family has had someone suffer or die from this terrible virus. Thank you so much, Professor. We will talk next week.
You bet. Thank you so much, Tim. Take care.